Joining me now is CNN senior legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Elie Honig. Elie, a big day tomorrow. But as we all know, we've been saying this time and again, these referrals are not legally binding. But how do you think the Justice Department will treat them in the context of the investigations they already have underway? And I suppose I'm also interested in just the reaction from the Attorney General. He's kept his cards close to the vest for many months now.
Right, Jim. So as you said, these criminal referrals are not binding on prosecutors in any way. That said, I assure you prosecutors will be going through these referrals very, very carefully because we know that DOJ is investigating Donald Trump. We know DOJ wants this evidence. They've been asking for it publicly. Merrick Garland, at his last public statement a couple weeks ago, said, please give us all the evidence, committee. We need it for our investigations. And we also know, Jim, that the committee has uncovered several pieces of important evidence, either before DOJ got there or perhaps that DOJ didn't even have. For example, we know the committee got Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony. They got Pat Cipollone's testimony. They got thousands of texts from Mark Meadows. So if I'm back at DOJ, I'm eagerly anticipating not so much the referral, but the actual evidence itself.
And when it comes to the charges being considered against Trump, obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the United States, and insurrection, how high is the bar for those charges in a court of law? It's one thing for Congress to recommend these charges, another thing, obviously, for prosecutors to pursue them.
Right, Jim. So the legal textbooks say that in order to indict a case, all you need to do is show probable cause. That said, real prosecutors have guidance, including at DOJ, saying you should never charge a case unless you believe you have proof beyond a reasonable doubt, because ultimately that's what you're going to have to prove to a unanimous jury. That is the highest standard under our laws. And the reality is, if you're thinking about a charge against Donald Trump or some other powerful person, that will get more scrutiny within DOJ than a charge against a normal person, without question. And I think when we look at these three charges that the committee may be voting on tomorrow, obstruction and conspiracy are sort of no surprise. DOJ has already gone on record with a judge saying they believe they have some evidence of that. Insurrection is new. That's really interesting. I don't know that DOJ ultimately will be interested in that because it's so difficult to prove, but that's a new sort of element to the whole mix here.
And Elie, beyond Trump, they're also considering how to hold Republican lawmakers accountable for defying those subpoenas during the investigation. Those lawmakers essentially thumbed their nose at the committee throughout this process. You and I have talked about this many times. You and I get a subpoena, we comply with that subpoena. These lawmakers did not in some cases. What do you think is the most likely scenario?
I'm not holding my breath waiting for much from the committee here. The reality is, as much good and important and tough work as the committee has done, they've gone light on their colleagues. There's just no way around that. They subpoenaed Kevin McCarthy, Jim Jordan, three other members of the House who completely blew off those subpoenas. Now, other people who defied the subpoenas were referred for criminal contempt. Some of them, Steve Bannon is going to serve jail time because he did that. There's no question here the committee has gone light on its own colleagues. There's just no way around that. They may refer to the ethics committee or some slap on the wrist, but the reality is Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan are going to stay quiet and they're going to get away with it.
And Elie, late yesterday, we learned that the Georgia special grand jury investigating Trump's efforts to overturn the state's election results is winding down and is now writing its final report. A lot of people have wondered, what more do you need other than a phone call of Trump strong-arming the Secretary of State to find 11,000 some odd votes? I know you don't think it's a slam dunk, but this is interesting that we're getting close to the end of this investigation. You and I have talked about this. There are Trump folks I've spoken with who have said this is one investigation they do worry about.
Yeah, Jim, I don't think there's any smoking gun or slam dunk here. I think that call is an important piece of evidence for prosecutors. I think it's probably the best piece of evidence they have, but there's no such thing as an automatic conviction. Like I said before, anyone who's tried cases knows that it's never easy to prove someone's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt to a unanimous jury, never mind a person like Donald Trump, who is at once both widely loved and widely hated. It makes it even more difficult to get to unanimity. But Jim, I do think that the signs are clear that the Fulton County DA's investigation has been accelerating in the last few months. And I think they're going to have to make a decision very, very quickly about whether they do or do not indict. I think we're going to know that certainly within the next month or so, coming into 2023.
All right, very good. Elie Honig, thanks so much. Appreciate the time. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Jim. All right.
All right. Joining me now, CNN political analyst and Washington bureau chief for the GRIO, April Ryan, and CNN political commentator and former Republican congressman from Pennsylvania, Charlie Dent. April, tomorrow we expect Trump to be referred to the Justice Department for criminal charges. I mean, that is a significant moment. We're going to end the day tomorrow. Every newspaper in the country, all of the networks, they're going to be reporting on this. That is a big moment.
It's a huge moment, taken from the words of former President Donald Trump. At the end of the day, the January 6th committee, Democrats and Republicans who comprise this committee, succinctly put together evidence linking in what they believe Donald Trump to January 6th, the insurrection that happened, a historic moment, something that never happened in this nation's history before. And what we understand from committee members, to include someone that I've talked to on numerous occasions throughout the course of this committee hearing, Benny Thompson, the head of the January 6th Select Committee, he said, look, he said, if nothing, we have produced enough evidence to make Merrick Garland look hard and even maybe go further than what he had planned to because of this. And this is what he said, we have pushed him to a further point to look and to maybe act. So let's see what happens after these recommendations happen, because we know that there will be recommendations, but what's next after that? That's the issue.
Right. And that's what we're all waiting to find out. No question about it. And Charlie, since the former president announced his third presidential bid about a month ago, he's dined with anti-Semites. He said he wanted to terminate the Constitution. There were those newly found classified documents. The list goes on. How would a criminal referral to the DOJ from the Congress, from the January 6th committee, impact his candidacy, do you think? It's not going to affect the base, it doesn't sound like it.
Well, I'm not so sure how much the actual referral will mean to his candidacy. What will matter is whether or not the DOJ actually brings charges against the former president. I certainly think that would have an enormous impact on his candidacy. Look, a lot of his voters, his base voters, have been willing to overlook and forgive a lot of sins. But a criminal referral, or if the former president were to be indicted, I mean, that might be a bridge too far for a lot of people. Certainly those on the edges who might have voted for him but weren't crazy about his personality or his conduct. But I think this would further drive them away. And it seems to me that he is a diminished figure in so many ways, and he's been diminishing for some time. You know, even before the most recent election, he's been diminishing. But he's still a dangerous figure. We all know that. But I think this would just further weaken him any whiff of an indictment.
And April, I have to ask you about this. What Trump had called a major announcement turned out to be not so major. It turned out to be an NFT for digital trading cards. Let's take a look at that.
My official Trump digital trading cards are $99, which doesn't sound like very much for what you're getting. Buy one and you will join a very exclusive community. It's my community, and I think it's something you're going to like, and you're going to like it a lot.
In April, that prompted this not so impressed reaction from two of the former president's closest allies. Let's watch that.
Whoever, what business partner, and anybody in the comms team, and anybody in Mar-a-Lago, and I love the folks down there, but we're at war. They ought to be fired today.
Never should have happened. I mean, look, it's fun, it's hyperbolic, but whoever wrote that pitch should be fired and should never be involved in any. I don't want them making the presidential napkins for Mar-a-Lago.
April, when you've lost Steve Bannon. April, what do you think about that? Oh,
When you lost Steve Bannon.
She froze. Charlie, April, do we have you back?
I'll tell you on that one,
Charlie,
Jim.
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, April.
Oh, April, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me say this. Steve Bannon and Donald Trump have been close for many years, and when they couldn't talk together, they were talking through their lawyers. But now here's the piece. Donald Trump is now more of a caricature of himself than he ever was before. And he is now playing to the base that believes he's a hero. He is playing to the base that thinks he could do nothing wrong. But this is the worst thing to do in this moment. And Steve Bannon is absolutely right. He needs to be working on trying to figure out what's going to happen next and how to lawyer up and level up, because this is a serious moment, serious allegations, and it's not time to play superhero digitally or comic book wise either way.
Yeah, Charlie, I I'm guessing you did not make any purchases of these digital trading cards, but feel free to
not.
correct the record.
Yeah, I most certainly did not, and I agree with April. This is the former president seems so unserious here. Seems like a huckster, unbecoming of his office. I think Bannon. I don't usually agree with Steve Bannon, but he's right. These are serious times, and the former president is facing some very serious allegations. And to push these digital trading cards with this big announcement, I just think it really further diminishes Donald Trump as a serious political figure. I mean, I think it's just absurd that they did this, and I think it's probably not going to help his political ambitions.